Om Sri Sai Ram, Om Sri Sai Nadhaya Namaha, Om Sri Sai Parabrahmane Namaha. Today in the satsang we are going to discuss Sri Saisatcharita Chapter 31. Usually we think that when we get old, then we want to think about God, then we want to read about scriptures or Puranas, those kind of things. But what happens is, at the end, when we are about to die, it may not be possible to have a clear thinking, or we might go into a coma, or we might get injured. We don't know how anybody will die. So, unless we think about something all through our life, we may not be able to think through those kind of things when we are about to die. Our scriptures say that a person will be reborn according to his thoughts at the time of death. Insects, on account of fear, become bees. While there was a story about King Jadabharat, he was born as a deer on account of the deer that he had reared and about whose welfare he remained concerned in his last moments. So it is very important to think about God during the last moments of life. Even in the Gita, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan says that whoever thinks about me in the last moments of life will reach me. So Bhagavan himself reiterated this point that it is very important what you think during the last moments of your life. The strong impressions and passions during the time of death will determine our next life. We need to keep good company with the saints, and this will help us to advance in spiritual life. So in this chapter, with this introduction, Hemad Pant talks about how Baba's devotees came to Shirdi in the last moments of their lives. So let us look at one story at a time. In this chapter, the first one is a sannyasi named Vijayanand who comes from Madras. He saw one of the Japanese tourists having a picture of Manasarovar, and he became tempted, so that it is so pure and divine that he wanted to go to Manasarovar, and he had a great desire to go there. And then while he was traveling, he heard about Shirdi and Baba, so he wanted to get his blessings before he goes to Manasarovar. After coming to Shirdi, he meets Swami Somadevji of Haridwar, and they both had a conversation about Manasarovar pilgrimage. And then this Somadevji talks about how tough it is and how the local people give hard time to the pilgrims, and every short distance the language changes, all kinds of difficulties he talks about it. And then he also talks about the snow, so the dialect changing, and people are very suspicious, and then travelers are taken advantage of. So he was discouraged and distressed by Somdevji's words. So then he was ambivalent about going there. And then with these thoughts in mind, he goes to Dwarka Mai and to have a darshan of Baba. When he goes there, Baba tells everybody that drive away this sannyasi. His company is not worthwhile. And then he feels ashamed, sat nearby, observing what was going on, and everybody was serving Baba, some of the devotees are worshipping Baba in various ways. But all these things made him feel peaceful. So that's what made him stay in Shirdi for 2 days. Then he got a letter to Shirdi informing that his mother is sick. He felt sad and didn't know what to do, and he approaches Baba to ask for permission to go and see his mother. Because whoever is in Shirdi, if they have to leave, they have to get permission from Baba. That was the standard at that time. So when he goes to ask Baba permission to go and see his mom, and then Baba immediately says, if you're fond of your mother that much, then why did you don this garb of a sannyasi? Attachment does not benefit these clothes. You have blemished this garb. So he tells him not to go anywhere and asks him to do Bhagavat Parayan, and he wanted him to do 3 times. He did 2 times the Parayan, and while doing the third one, he fell ill. 2 days later, he died, placing his head on Fakir Baba's, Bade Baba's lap. Baba asks them not to bury him immediately because he doesn't have any, he's like a stranger there. He's not a resident of Shirdi. So police had to come. They had to do some investigation. So, and then people protected his body. First they thought that when Baba told him not to bury him, they thought that Baba will make him alive. So then they all realized that when police came, they understood why Baba mentioned this. Here, Baba made Vijayanand realize by teaching him the importance of the renunciation. Baba says people need to be careful of both good deeds and bad deeds. Both will give us problems, and they hinder our journey towards self-realization. Those who are fed up with worldly existence and have surrendered at the feet of Lord, the knots of their attachment are loosened and the hold of ignorance is removed. That means the ajnana is removed and gnana reflects by itself. This is what Baba taught Nana Chandorkar also when he was reciting Bhagavad Gita sloka. When one is unfailingly involved in singing the Lord's name, the sins, sufferings, and poverty will disappear. The Lord runs and helps the person who meditates on Him with love and affection. Your store of past merits is considerable, so you have come here. Now attend to what I say and realize the greater purpose of life. So this is what Baba told Vijayanand. And he made him realize this truth and helped him to read Bhagavat at the right time. So, next story is Balaram Mankar's story. He was also a great devotee of Baba, and he accumulated so many good deeds in the previous births, and that's how he got attached to Sai's feet. And his wife died, and he lost peace of mind. He could not attend to his regular duties. He wanted to give up all the worldly things and wanted to just pursue spiritual path. He gave all his responsibilities to his son and came to Shirdi. This is also kind of sannyas. He wanted to stay with the Baba, but as soon as he comes there, Baba asks him to leave Shirdi and go to Machindragarh. And Baba wanted him to do dhyanam 3 times a day, the meditation he was supposed to do 3 times a day, and think about God and Baba all the time. He gives him rupees 12 in cash and sends him there. He was so disappointed. He thought he cannot have darshan of Baba every day. Then Baba tells him that he is not just in Shirdi and he is beyond the limits of time and space. Then Mankar felt ashamed that he had doubts and did not obey Baba's word immediately. Once he goes there, he understood why Baba sent him there. It was so peaceful, and the mountain ranges were so serene, and it was so peaceful, so that he can do penance there. And he just focused on Baba's feet and chanted his name all the time. And he was thinking Baba as eternal Brahman, Paramatma. And this is the Nirguna Swarupa, Nirakara. That's what he was praying on. So one day he finished his meditation and Baba appears in person in front of him. He then asks Baba that why he sent him there. Then Baba tells him that there was so much distraction there, and you thought that I'm only in Shirdi, but I'm everywhere. Later he finished his penance there, and Baba gave him other experiences also there. He then decided to go back to his place in Bandra when he gets another surprise in the form of a rustic who gives him a railway ticket, because when he goes to that Pune station, he finds so many people in queue there in line. It was hard to get a ticket by the time the train leaves. But this rustic in the form of a farmer comes and just gives him the ticket, tells him that he had an urgent work he has to attend, so he cannot go to this train. And then Mankar wanted to give him the money, but by the time he reaches out to the money and wanted to give it to him, he disappears. So this is the Baba's miracle. He understands that. So he realizes that Baba is everywhere, his Guru is everywhere. So with that he was so satisfied and had no more doubts about Baba's all-pervasiveness. So in the end, also in this chapter, there was a mention of Tatya Nolkar and Megha also in this chapter. So Megha died in Shirdi, Tatya Nolkar died in Shirdi. Baba gave them blessings. And of course, Mankar also in the end leaves his body in the Shirdi itself. At the end of the chapter, a tiger story was also mentioned. A tiger was brought to Shirdi by its owners, and the tiger was very ill, and the owners were making their livelihood by exhibiting this tiger at different places. And they tried so many medical means. They took the tiger to so many doctors or people who can cure these kind of diseases, but there is no use. Then they heard about Baba. They thought if they bring this tiger to Baba, maybe he can save the tiger. And then when they brought the tiger in front of Baba, the tiger looks at Baba with a love. It fluffed the tuft of its tail and thrashed the ground 3 times, then fell lifeless at Sai's feet. The tiger gave one mighty roar and fell down dead at that very spot. The people were surprised that tiger had died. The dervishes, the owners of this tiger, were at first much dejected, but later they seemed glad that this deceased animal, which was expected to die, had attained a release. This happened just before Baba's Mahasamadhi, 7 days before Baba's Mahasamadhi. So the essence in this chapter is that all these great people who had very good past deeds and they did a lot of sadhana in their previous births, came in front of Baba, came to Shirdi to have their last breath. Death in the presence of saints and sages is immensely meritorious, whether it is a worm or insect or a tiger. All the sins are pardoned. Anyone who dies while placing the head at the feet of a saint, he or she gets himself or herself delivered and gains the benefits of a lifetime. So dying in the presence of saints is not death, but the bliss of heaven. And that kind of person has won the transient world and has no worry about rebirth. So this is the main crux of this chapter 31, where we have to remember that it's not that easy to remember about God, about our scriptures at the last moments of our lives, unless we live that kind of life throughout. So we all need to remember this and attain this kind of sadgati when we are approaching to our last moments of life. So this is kind of like when we every day in our Jagrat state, that means awakened state, we do so many things. And if we can think about God most of our time during the day, and when we go to bed, if we can think about Baba before we go to bed and then sleep, so like that if we practice every day, the ultimate sleep that we get, that is death, at that time also we can remember because we practiced all our lives remembering Baba before we go to bed. So like that, this is a simple practice we all can do, and this will help us and take us a long way in our spiritual life. With this we will conclude this chapter 31, and we will discuss more Saisatcharita in coming satsangs. Om Sri Sai Nadharpanamastu. Om Sri Sai Ram. Om Sri Sai Nadhaya Namaha. Om Sri Sai Parabrahmane Namaha. Om Sri Sachidananda Sadguru Sainath Maharaj Ki Jai.